Glad to have you join us again on Core Digest Extra today on Core TV News Lagos. We are considering consumer rights in Nigeria. Every 15th of March is celebrated as a Consumer Rights Protection Day across the world. And as a matter of fact, the entire month of March is dedicated to that cause. So you have discussion centered around the consumer and how the rights of the consumer can be protected across the world. This year, 2018, the theme for the celebration is making digital marketplaces fairer. With me in the studio is Sola Salako-Ajulo. She is founder, Consumer Advocacy Foundation of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you again.
Yes. All right, so let's look at the consumer's rights. A Nigerian, who is a consumer? Maybe we'll begin with that.
Okay, great. A consumer is the beneficiary of any product or service. The person who eventually enjoys the benefit or uses any product or service is the consumer. Now, there's a difference between the consumer and the customer. We confuse both,
okay,
but they are slightly different. The customer is the person who pays for a good or service. The consumer is the person who uses that good or service. Sometimes the customer is the consumer, because when you pay for it to be consumed by yourself, then you are the customer and the consumer.
Now, there's a saying that customers are always right. How true is that saying?
You see, it's a concept of it, and I'll tell you why that saying came about. The saying came about because for you to be in business, you need to have customers. So if you want to remain in business, your customer had better always be right. Because if you tell your customer you are wrong and he walks away, that's the end of your business. In that context, the customer is always right. I think the better maxim should be the consumer is king.
Okay.
When he's king, that means you serve him.
So the consumer is king.
Yes.
Now let's look at the World Consumer Rights Day 2018. The theme is making digital marketplaces fairer. The regular markets are going digital because everyone is talking electronic these days. How do we regulate? Is there a form of regulation for these digital marketplaces to ensure that indeed the consumer is actually king?
Well, Nigeria is playing catch up in that area. Our law, our consumer law, the Consumer Protection Act of 1992 is very obsolete. We have gotten a new law passed, the Federal Consumer and Competition and Consumer Protection Commission law, but it has not been signed into law by the president yet, and I hear now that it has gone back for some amendments to the House. We're following up on that. So because of that, we really don't have a strong framework. Commerce is moving very fast onto that onto the platform, that internet platform, but our laws are not moving as fast. One of the ways we feel that consumers can protect themselves while the environment is still not properly regulated is to be better enlightened. So we're working a lot on enlightening consumers on how to behave on the internet. I know that there are stuff going on to put in some form of regulation, that everybody who does participate in the virtual marketplace will be bound by.
All right, let's look at what actually are the rights of the consumer, because if you do not know what your rights are, then there is really no way you can protect that right.
Okay, well, globally, there are 8 rights that you are guaranteed as a consumer. The first right says you have a right to access to basic needs. That means food, shelter, good healthcare, and all those things. Now, that particular right, even though it is enshrined in our constitution, it's not justiciable. When they say something is not justiciable, that means you can't sue the government, because it's the government that provides most of those rights. But the basic ones that apply to commerce is, number one, you have a right to choice. You have a right to choose. There must be options for you of every product or service that is available for you. Then you have a right to be heard. That means every time you have an opinion about anything, government policies, products, services, you must be given a platform to express yourself. Right? You also have a right to information. Now, right to information means that anybody who's going to put a product or service out in the marketplace for your benefit must give you enough information about what is in that product. You have a right to redress. Redress means if I buy something, I am not satisfied with it, I have a right to take it back to the person and say, this is not what you said I'm buying, or it is not working as it should. When anybody brings anything back to you as a seller, you must either repair it, replace it, or refund their money.
Now, we know our rights. I know my rights as a consumer. But how can I ensure that those rights are protected?
The first is to insist. At every point where somebody violates your right, Nigerians have this habit of nothing is going to happen anyway, so you leave it. As long as we keep letting them get away with it, we will never be able to ensure that the whole environment is safe for all of us. When the retailer is recalcitrant or is not giving you satisfactory resolution, then you escalate. If you escalate to the CPC or La Scopa, because they are also regulators, they can enforce your rights, they can insist on it. If all of that fails, you can approach the courts. So there are ways in which we can make these things work better. But I just want Nigerians to know that we are better off now than we were. Our structures are improving. And that's because Nigerians now have a voice using the platform of the social media to make a lot of noise. So government is paying more attention. And then, of course, the service providers themselves know that you can go name and shame them on public space. So they are also responding a little faster. But it is not perfect yet. We still need to get to improve a lot more. But I'm happy that we have gotten this far.
So 2 maxims we should live with. If you forget any other thing, 1, consumer is king. So as a consumer, you are king. And 2, cheap doesn't keep you in business. So if you need to raise the price, you might do that, but just ensure that you're giving out quality. All right, it's been a pleasure having you on the program today, talking about consumer rights in Nigeria. You know your rights. Please keep keeping the right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.